Uh, all right. Today I'm here with Jim Fox. He's the TV analyst for the Kings, and uh today I'm gonna get to know him a little bit. So the first question I wanted to ask was, how did he first get involved with hockey?
Well, Grady, I grew up in a small town 200 miles north of Toronto, Coniston, Ontario. So, as I think you know, Canada is full of hockey players. That's what we do. So, I basically started skating the year after I started walking. So, I was born on May 18th, so I started to skate December of the next year. So, I was about 18 months old. And that's where it went. My dad used to freeze over our backyard. So we'd have an ice rink there. And then our little town, like all little towns in Canada, we had youth hockey systems. And I just went into the youth hockey system and just learned how to play from there.
Oh, that's nice. How long have you been with the Kings organization?
Well, I've been there quite a long time. I've been there since 1980. So I think it's 43, 44 years now. And looking forward to a couple more. The Kings are obviously very special to me because basically it's the only team I've worked for. It's the only company I've worked for. So
Mm,
since 1980, I guess I'm a king for life, hopefully.
mm. Uh, and how did he get into broadcasting with the Kings?
Well, that's kind of a long story, but the Kings used to do something called a simulcast, which we do now,
Mm,
which is that the same feed, meaning the audio feed and the video feed go out together and there's no separation. So there's no separation between a radio feed and a TV feed.
mm,
Well, when Wayne Gretzky came to the Kings became popular overnight.
mm,
And I think the Kings people in the office tried to figure out a way to develop more revenue to bring in more money. So they decided to split up the radio and TV and have them separate. So now you can sell two different things instead of just one. It
mm,
coincides with Wayne because he brought along this popularity. I had just recently retired from the game. So I had 4 knee surgeries and had to retire. So
mm,
when they were looking for someone to do the job, I was just kind of the guy. I was happened to be recently retired and had played for the Kings for 10 years. So they felt I would be the candidate to do it. I had no training. I just had to learn on the job. But I'm glad that they stuck with me early on because I really struggled early on. I really had a difficult time making the transition, but because of the reasoning that they had, kind of a financial reason, I was there, and I'm still there.
mm. Uh, and then my next question is, who did you idolize in hockey growing up?
Well, as a player, I idolized a player. His name was Bobby Orr. Played for the Boston Bruins.
Mm,
Basically, well, during I think he joined the Bruins in 1966, maybe 1967, 1968, around there. So I was 7, 8 years old. So when you're a kid like that, Bobby was probably, in my mind, he's the best player to ever play the game. And certainly during that time, I think he was the best player around. So I followed him. I followed the Boston Bruins. And he was a defenseman. Actually, I was a defenseman early on until I was about 15 years old. I played defense,
mm,
but I stopped growing. So I think you need a little bit more size for defense. So I ended up being a forward. But basically, everything I learned about hockey and followed hockey was because of how much I respected Bobby Orr.
mm. Uh, and my next question is, how do you think the NHL changed over time?
Well, I think like many sports, Grady, it's about size, speed, and skill.
Mm,
Athletes in today's game, regardless whether it's hockey, football, basketball, baseball, soccer, anything, they've just learned how to build their bodies. They've learned how to eat properly so that they can really maximize energy and strength and power. So I think that's the biggest difference. So when you have skaters on the ice now in hockey, they're able to do things even at a big man, when I played, big men were slower. They couldn't catch the smaller guys because their ability to get around the ice and be agile was not as good as a small player. But that has
Mhm.
changed. Now the big players have the same amount of agility, the same amount of athleticism, the same amount of speed and quickness as as smaller players. So
Mhm.
that allows them to do things that I think back when I played, they couldn't do. So it's very interesting to see that. And I think the game has changed because of that. Now coaches are looking for more skill. Teams are not necessarily looking for size anymore. Of course, if you can get that size and skill balance, that's exactly what you want. But the skill and speed and power of current day players, incredible.
Mhm. And my next question is, what do you think about the Kings going forward?
Well, the Kings right now, as we speak, Grady, we're in Boston right now on a
Mhm.
road trip. Certainly had a great start to the season. I think everyone's aware of that. Then we had a big fall off. They had to let go Todd McClellan, the head coach.
Yeah.
They felt a big change was needed. So that's where we are. We're 3 games in. We're still in a playoff spot. It's something that they're trying to build on and just have renewed life and try to get confidence back that they had at the beginning of the season. So they're still integrating some players into the mix, whether it's a PL Dubois or whether it's a younger player like Brant Clark and Jordan Spence. So
Mhm.
they felt they were a playoff team coming in. I think they still are a playoff team. I think because of the start they had, they really caught the attention of a lot of people, and people felt, okay, they have a chance. Now, um, whether they're a true contender, that has to be proven right now. Over the
Mhm.
last 2 months or so, you would say, no, not the case. But now it's up to them to right the ship, to get back to playing the way they were, to making sure that the puck stays out of their own net and have that balance that every team's looking for. Good defense, good offense. They had it at the beginning. They've lost it, but they're trying to get it back.
Mhm. Mhm. And my next question is, do you have advice for young people who either want to get into hockey or broadcasting?
Well, into hockey, it's just a matter. I'm asked that question, Grady, quite a bit, especially by parents.
Mhm.
But the one thing is once you start playing hockey, you know, work on your skills as much as possible. But the one skill in hockey is skating. So I would
Mhm.
just share what I did as a kid. Yes, I played for youth teams. Yes, I practiced. But most ice rinks have what they call public skating sessions where you just go out there and skate. And that's what I did as much as possible every single day. And as I mentioned, when I was growing up, I was fortunate. My dad, he flooded the backyard and I had a rink to myself. So I was able to skate every day. So skate, skate, skate if you're going to be a player. As a broadcaster, I think it's very important to be up on the current news, but also up on the history of sports,
Mhm.
the history of the sport itself, the history of the team that you want to be involved in. So the modern day, yes, but also the history. And then the technical aspects. I'm a broadcaster, so I'm in front of the camera. You can
Mhm.
see me, you can hear me, but there's a lot of things that go on behind the camera. You have camera people, you have tape people that are
Mhm.
making sure the replays are there. You have producers, you have directors, all of these types of things that I think it's very important to learn what happens behind the scenes because during a broadcast, when things are going correct, I'm going to say anyone can do it. But
Mhm.
things don't always go the way you want. There's a lot of problems, there's a lot of technical glitches. And when you understand what's going on behind the scenes, I think that helps you in your broadcasting. For any young person, it would be to go out to a local high school game and just take a recording device of some type and just record yourself doing the game, calling the game, working on it like that. Go back and listen to it. Figure out
Mhm.
what you're doing a little bit wrong and maybe what you can improve on. And just take that time and time again. It's no different than anything else. Practice, practice, practice. And that would be my advice. So if you're going to play, you've got to skate as much as possible. If you want to be a broadcast, learn about the history, but also learn about the technical aspects behind the camera.
Mhm. And uh, and my last question is, who was your favorite LA King to play with?
Oh, that's a great question. That is a great question. It's a very difficult one to answer because you have so many great people that you meet. And I think in sports in general, most people will tell you that the thing that they miss when they get out of sports is just the camaraderie and being around people. There is a bond there when you're on a team because you have to sacrifice for each other to try to win games and try to win championships. Um, my best friend, I guess, when I joined the Kings, Dave Taylor, he was already on the Kings. When I was drafted, he called me. He welcomed me to the team. When I got to Los Angeles, he helped me a lot. And, Dave is just a fantastic person as well as a great hockey player, but he helped me off the ice and really took me under his wing. And then as I got going, there was a player who played for the Kings. His name was Phil Sykes. I became very close with him as a friend. And again, that's something that happens a little bit more off the ice than on the ice. But both of those guys probably had the same type of mentality, and that they were very unselfish. They were there for the team. They worked hard. They were very physical players, but they made sure everything they were doing it for the team. So I feel very fortunate to have played with, but also gotten to know very well Dave Taylor and Phil Sykes.
Hmm. And that will do it for the interview. Thank you, Jim Fox, for your time, and good luck for the rest of the season.
All right, Grady, thanks very much for having me. And, let's hope the Kings can get it back on track. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.